Welcome back, guys, to We Talk Boxing, and in this video I'm going to be talking about Joyce and what is next for Joyce. Now this is my opinions where I feel that Joyce could go. Obviously there's nothing set in stone, and it's just my opinions basically after what we saw on the weekend. His second loss on his record. First time he's actually been cleaned out, knocked out. You know what I mean? But it is what it is, and he did well to get up onto his feet before the referee stopped it as well. So hats off goes to Joyce there. So anyhow, after the fight, you know what I mean, Joyce came out and said that he's gonna have a little bit of time off, and obviously look what went wrong, and hopefully try and maybe come back in the early part of next year with a few fights and then try and rebuild again, which I think I've got nothing wrong with that, because at the end of the day he suffered two big defeats to Zhang this year. The first one was a beating before getting stopped by the referee because of his eye, which was in 6 rounds, and then the one most recently, which was on the weekend gone, where he got demolished inside half the time as well it took him the first time. So he got knocked out in 3 rounds, and it wasn't, you know what I mean, the left hand, the jab or the hook or the uppercut which caught him. It was the right hand, the hand which he probably hadn't have even been expecting to get caught with or to get dropped with. So it came out of the blue. So him and his team need to sit down at the table and obviously discuss what went wrong and how they could pretty much put things right going forward. And the most important thing here is rebuilding. Now, from my personal opinion, I would probably look to maybe, sounds bad, and I'm going to probably get a lot of criticism from this, but maybe switch promoting teams. Leave Frank and maybe go somewhere like a Shalom or Sutherland or somewhere like that. I won't go to Hearn because Hearn's obviously got anti AJ, which is his big heavyweight. You need to go somewhere different, somewhere that's gonna push you and make you pretty much their main heavyweight. And I do understand that all these other promoters already have their main heavyweight, but he's been with Frank for a while, and he's always been second fiddle and even third fiddle at times. You know what I mean? Before Dubois, he was playing second fiddle to Fury, and then Dubois came in the scene, and he was playing third fiddle to Fury and Dubois. So he wasn't really in Frank's sights there. But anyhow, I would probably say going forward as well, he needs to have some get me back into it type of fights. Maybe challenge some of the lesser known heavyweights in the division, and probably a few easy fights. And his first fight back could possibly be maybe a lower level domestic challenger. This could possibly be maybe a gatekeeper, e.g., maybe a Chisora if Chisora's looking to have a fight, um, or maybe someone like a Franklin would be a good one as well. But it'd be a tough fight for someone who's coming off two losses, two TKO and a KO loss. You know what I mean, to Zhang. Franklin would be a pretty tough fight for him as well. But these are the sort of people that he needs to be in there with. He should stay very clear away from the bigger names in the division like your Usyk, Tyson Fury, AJ and Wilder. These are the people that you want to stay away from for at least another 18 months, because you're just going to set yourself up to fail. So yeah, build up, try and take on some of the lesser known names in the division. Some good fights still there for Joyce, but maybe not big headliners or big stadium events. He's got people like Otto Wadlin, maybe Caballero, could be a first fight back. Franklin, as I mentioned earlier. Ortiz as well. Bacoli, that's another one. That's a good one. Maybe even a Ruiz towards that 18-month down the line. As he's had a few get me like warm up type of fights, you can maybe try and entice a big name like a Ruiz on there as well. Now, before his fight with Zhang on the weekend, Box.live obviously updated their heavyweight rankings, and the ring rankings had Joyce down as 6, and in the WBO rankings it had Joyce down at number 7 as well. So I guarantee it, when the new rankings come out, which will probably be next month now, Joyce is going to be very low down in the rankings in again, the WBO, and even he probably won't even be there on the Ring magazine ratings as well, just because of what happened in his last two fights, and especially on Saturday as well. He just didn't look. He just looked like a shadow of the Joyce that we've seen in the past. But I'm not one of these guys that I should sit here and say, oh, Joyce needs to retire because he's got knocked out and stopped in his last two fights. I'm one of these to say that, yes, Joyce is 38, 39, one of them in age, but he's still being some half decent fights and maybe challenge some half decent opponents just to maybe earn some more change before he retires. Look at Zhang. Zhang's 40. Soon to probably be 41, maybe at the end of this year or early next year. So if Zhang could continue to go, then surely Joyce can as well. But he has to build himself back up steadily and take the right fights. He doesn't need to be taking any banana slips at this stage in his career because of what's happened recently. So yeah, they're just my thoughts. And if he does stay with Frank, I have no doubt that Frank would probably get Joe Joyce in there with some pub man for his first two fights. Similar, sounds bad, similar to what Fury did when Fury had his comeback. He fought against two unknowns. One of them was really decent in the end, which was Otto Wilding. But they're the type of opposition that I know Frank will be probably looking to get for Joe Joyce rather than putting him in with the bigger names at this stage. But let me know your thoughts. Do you still feel that Joe Joyce has a career at the higher end in the heavyweight division in boxing? Do you feel he should retire? Or are you like me, rebuild, take some easier level opposition fights for the next 18 months, try and have 2, maybe 3 fights in that time, and then come back towards the end of this time next year with a bigger fight and to try and take on some of the bigger names in the division? Let me know your thoughts, guys. As always, bless.